Good morning, everyone, and hello. My name is Frank Anthony, and welcome to another episode of Walk Talk with Frank. So, yes, I did just post a video yesterday regarding the first episode of the Let Me Be Frank podcast season 2. So if you haven't checked that out, you should go check that out. I can put a link below. But with the last Walk Talk, I thought of a topic that kind of goes along with what I was saying last time. I was talking about anger and having anger towards people you're either dating or just people in your lives. I figured, well, definitely miscommunication would be similar to that. And because one similarity between those two things is that there may be certain insecurities within yourself or your partner. So I figured, this would be a good time I was just thinking about this. My past, there's a big thing with miscommunication. Hello. There's a big, I've definitely had miscommunication, and I've had different thoughts on that. And what my thoughts are today have definitely evolved since years ago on that matter. And hopefully, anything I say could help you guys if you're having miscommunication issues within your relationships. So where do I start with this? So usually two people who are dating, if you're a monogamous relationship, two people who are dating, they usually, what I see is both people communicate differently, and that's usually where some of the issues start lying. Where, I think about my past, I'm a big communicator personally, and you may be too if you're watching this. Or if you're watching this, you may be someone that doesn't like to communicate as much. And you maybe the issue isn't as important to you as maybe it is to your partner. I think that's where it kind of goes. Or in general, maybe you're just not the biggest communicator. And like I said, back then, that would be a huge issue for me to date someone like that, because how I used to view it was that if your partner wasn't communicating that much and you were communicating all the time, it kind of made it look like the one who was communicating was the person that cared more in the relationship, and that the other person not communicating, they just didn't care as much. And I've learned that that's not true, that both people in the relationship just communicate in different ways and may have to use different methods and different approaches with communicating. My communication back then was very just I kept talking. I kind of kept filling the silence. And in a way, my partner wasn't really able to get much out. They were still processing certain things or what to say to me, kind of like thinking before speaking, where my communication was just speaking, and the thinking we can just do later. And like I said, just two different approaches where things can go right with, but then at the same time, they can obviously go wrong. So yeah, I was just thinking about that, because obviously with miscommunication, that's what leads to fights in relationships, and certain thoughts of, I care more than my partner does, which, like I said, that's not necessarily true. Just because your partner may be more quiet in that way doesn't mean that they don't care as much. Also, what I wanted to address was and you've probably done it, you can raise your hand, you can like this video if you've done this, because I know I have. A lot of us are guilty of this, where we feel a certain way and we don't communicate it to our partner. We just assume they should know the issue. I mean, who's done that? I've definitely been guilty of that, where I have felt upset about something and I assume, my partner should just know how I feel without communicating. And once again, your partner is not a mind reader, unfortunately. If they were like Edward Cullen, they would just know how you felt, and then you would never have to actually speak it or communicate the issues that you may be feeling. So so it's something that I've definitely done, where, pop that up. That's definitely something that I've done that maybe you've done as well. And my advice to that is communicate. If you have an issue, communicate that with your partner. They're not a mind reader. They may never realize that you are feeling the way that you're feeling about something. So definitely communicate it. Also, though, another thing to keep in mind, at least what I started doing for myself was so let's say you do communicate and that you're communicating everything, and I mean everything. Like a piece of paper falls on the floor. Oh my God, the piece of paper fell on the floor. I'm pissed. Like, I feel like now that's something I'd consider a small issue. Now, this is my advice, which you don't have to take. You can take it, you can leave it, whatever. This is my advice for that I like to do for myself so that I don't get in those constant arguments with a partner. I like to identify, this could work too in relationships that aren't romantic. So what I like to do is that I like to identify issues as either small or big issues. For example, a small issue, and this is different for everyone, I'm just using examples for myself. A small issue would be, like canceling, having to cancel a date because, I don't know, I can't think of I'm trying to think of a small, not being able to go on a date because you have to work late, or like your partner has to work late, so they have to cancel. That's actually something I feel like a lot of people will argue about or be disappointed that their partner couldn't make this date. To me, that's something that is technically a smaller issue unless that person is always working late for like months straight. Then that's a different story. That's when that would probably turn into a bigger issue, and I'd be like, oh, and then that's when I'd probably communicate and say, hey, like, I noticed, you're working late a lot and we're not really spending enough time together. Can we try to compromise something? I'm gonna head back. I'm gonna head back because I like the shade. I might just sit in the shade somewhere because it's harder to see me in the video. But and a big issue would be, I'll sit right here actually. A bigger issue would be cheating or infidelity, murdering like a family member. That's a little extreme, but I can't wait to see you too, Monica. Those are what I would consider bigger issues where, you would have to talk about it. I guess how I identify a small issue and a big issue is that a big issue is something that you feel like you need to communicate, otherwise you're never going to get over it. Where a small issue is something that you get mad at your partner that day or that hour, and then, you're fine afterwards. Like, it's something that just wasn't worth communicating unless they continued to do that thing that pissed you off over and over and over again, continuously. But if it's something, like I said, infidelity is something that maybe it's something you're like, you know what, I'm just not gonna, like, it happened and I forgave him and we're not gonna have a discussion about it. But then as time goes on, you're getting upset about it. That's something obviously I would consider a bigger issue, and to communicate. It could be a lot of different, like I said, everyone identifies small issues and big issues differently, which also means that if you consider something a small issue but your partner considers something a bigger issue, try to take them seriously and try to understand that, okay, they view this bigger, maybe bigger than I do, but let me at least listen to them and validate their feelings. Because I think one of the worst things is making your partner feel invalidated and making them feel almost like crazy. And that's something I've gone through too in the past. Like, certain things I'd be vocal about, my partner would be like, oh no, you're crazy, and then they're like doing it, like they're doing something that is that's not good for the relationship. And I've probably done it vice versa too. I don't think anyone's 100% innocent. But yeah, that's my thoughts for today. Oh, we have another comment to just add in. Monica says, and know that even after 5 years your partner still might not be able to read certain things about you that they totally should be able to. Hashtag Lord help me with this one. We can talk later if you'd like. We'll see each other anyway. Yeah, I mean, it can take, like I said, communication it's very on and off, but as long as you guys have a good system, then you guys should be able to make it work. That's what it is. It's a partnership. It shouldn't involve third parties getting into your communication. The communication should really strictly be between, there's going to be issues that may involve outside parties, but your communication wavelength should be between you and your partner. It doesn't need to be between other people unless there's some main character in the issue that you also need to address as well. I don't know what happened. I think I accidentally exited out of it. I'm gonna end right there anyway. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. It's so nice out in this area. I hope it is where you are too. Yeah, have a great day. Bye.